when you're doing work plans, you can be doing a work plan that will cover the span of the next 3 months up to and including the next 3 years. So you focus on an issue and you think about, how do we want to make a difference on this issue? What are we working for? When you state the goal, think about something that's concrete. So we're going to talk about setting goals and what a goal might look like. Let's take an area that really has to do with how the council itself functions. Perhaps you're one of those councils that's looking to recruit new members. So you're thinking about, the issue is we have, let's say, 8 council members and we want to have 15. So we want to think about a goal bringing more council members on. How are we going to frame that goal? Well, to begin with, the goal is going to be to recruit new members. Now the question is, how many new members? Are you going to set a goal at recruiting 7 new members because that will bring you up to 15? Are you going to put anything in that goal around the ways you want to do that? Do you want to address some issues around diversity? Have you really had some problems attracting some individuals with developmental disabilities to your council? Is that one of the things you want in there as part of your goal statement? Or perhaps what you're really looking for are some local business people, or some people who are first responders, police, firefighters, ambulance attendants, as people who live and work in the community and who might bring new and fresh perspectives to the work that you're doing. So you're going to state your goal in terms of perhaps we want to set 4 new members and we want them to represent some diverse elements, and you might name those. So then as a council you begin to think about, well, how might we do that? What are the strategies we're going to employ? Well, let's begin to think about what has worked for us in the past and what has gotten in the way as we've gone through recruitment. I've heard some councils talk about, well, if people in the community knew more about our community council, perhaps more people would be interested in joining if they understood what we're working toward, who we are, and what's important to us. So perhaps one of your strategies is to raise your visibility in the community. You want more people in the community to know about your community council because that might spark a bit of an interest in them joining you. They may share some of the values and some of the goals that councils in general are working towards. So perhaps one strategy is to raise visibility. As you want to raise visibility, what are some of the activities that will help you put that strategy into action? Well, for example, you might want to talk to your local media. Perhaps they'll do a story on your community council. Perhaps you want to go to your local Chamber of Commerce or Board of Trade or Business Improvement Association, maybe in October, which is Community Living Month, and ask for 5 minutes to get up in front of them and just tell a brief story about some way that your council has made a difference in the community. Talk about the fact that you are appreciative of everybody who is paying attention to living in an inclusive and welcoming community. And let people know that you've got information all around the room where you would like them to pick up information because you are looking for new members. Just a brief presentation as a way to whet people's appetite and increase your visibility so that more people know that you exist and that you're looking for new members. Another strategy might be to use your personal networks to see who might know people in particular segments because you're looking for a diverse group. So for example, does anybody currently sitting around the council table have a relationship with or some kind of connection to a local police or a local firefighter or a doctor or an accountant or a local business person or somebody who is a clerk in a store? And if you have those relationships, perhaps you can go and approach those people and say, hey, we're looking to recruit. And begin to talk about what your council does, what the process is, what kinds of things people need to do if they're going to join council, and so on. As you begin to think about these ideas, it will be important to begin to write them down, look at, are we going to do all of these things, or are we going to choose a few that we think are really going to work for us? And then what you're going to want to do is have people say, I'll take that one on. I know somebody who, and I will approach them. I'm willing to do a presentation in front of the Chamber of Commerce, and I know the person who's executive director. I will approach and see if we can have 5 minutes in October at their luncheon. So you want to begin to assign people to some of the tasks and begin to set some timelines. When would we like this to happen? How will you report back? For some things, the report back might be at the next meeting, we'd like an update on how you're doing. For other things, it might say, well, within the next 6 months, we'd like to see 2 newspaper articles out on our council. And so we have people who are going to be doing things between now and then, and we'll check back every 3 months to see how we're doing. As you set these goals and identify your strategies, you want to be asking yourselves and one another, what will be a good indication that you're making a difference, that you're achieving your goal? Clearly, if recruitment is your goal, one of the things that's going to show you that you have been successful is that you have new members. So that's the concept of developing a work plan. That's a short-term goal. You're looking at accomplishing that between now and the end of June. You're identifying the goal and how you're going to know you arrived there. Again, the goal, recruitment of new members who represent some kind of diversity, people who look different than or come from different segments than the rest of the 8 of us, because we want to broaden our reach and we want to make our conversations richer with people bringing in more perspectives, more ideas, more thoughts. You've identified some strategies, identified some of the actions that will implement those strategies. You've set up some assignments. You know who's going to be taking on which of those things. And then you're going to set up those timelines and report backs. What I'd like to remind you all is it's really important to keep track of all of this. Write it all down. Keep the notes. Keep the records. We've provided a chart in the handbook that might be useful as a way for you to do it. It is important for you to do this so that you can look back, let's take this goal at the end of June, and say, how did we do? Let's say that at the end of June you were able to recruit 2 new members, but your goal had really to have 4 new members. It'll be helpful to look at what made a difference. Where were you successful? What did you learn from that? Where were the areas where you thought you'd be successful? You thought you had some good strategies and good actions, and they didn't pan out. They didn't result in the successes you were hoping for. Those are great opportunities for learning, and it's always important, as you're looking back over the work that was done, to celebrate the fact that everybody has focused very well on achieving this goal. People have worked hard to get there. Some people have really put themselves out and reaching out to new people, setting out new conversations, perhaps standing up in front of groups where they've never done that before, or doing a newspaper article where they've never done an interview before. You want to celebrate that. You want to thank each other. You want to appreciate each other. And then you want to go back and look at your other goals and look at, now where do we go?